Woman finds huge snail when vet sees it. He's shocked. Sarah was enjoying a leisurely stroll through her garden when something caught her eye. It was a flash of movement, barely perceptible but enough to pique her curiosity. She approached the plant where she had seen the movement and spotted a huge snail unlike any she had ever seen before. Its shell was massive, easily the size of a small watermelon, and its body was nearly a foot long. Sarah was struck with wonder as she gazed at the enormous creature. She had always loved animals and had a particular fascination for unique and rare ones, and this was certainly a rare find. As she picked up the snail, she could feel its weight in her hand. It was surprisingly heavy, and Sarah wondered how such a creature could exist in her garden undetected for so long. As she examined it closely, she noticed the snail's body was slick and moist, glistening in the soft light. The shell was patterned with intricate swirls and whorls that seemed to dance in the sunlight. Sarah's mind was racing with questions about this incredible discovery. Was this a new species? How could she find out more? She decided that she needed to take the snail to an expert, someone who could tell her what she had found. She gently placed the snail in a container and set off for the local veterinarian's clinic. Her heart was pounding with excitement as she imagined the possibilities of her discovery. Sarah could hardly wait to share her find with the world. Hey there, Viral Videos here. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell. We post the most beautiful, amazing and scary videos every single day. Let's proceed with the video. Sarah's excitement grew as she entered the veterinarian's clinic with the container holding the massive snail. As she approached the reception desk, she couldn't help but feel like she was holding a precious treasure. The vet on duty looked up from his paperwork and was taken aback by the sight of the enormous snail. He immediately motioned for Sarah to come forward, eager to get a closer look at the rare specimen. As he examined the snail, the vet was astounded by its size. He had never seen a snail of this magnitude before. He took measurements and examined the shell and the snail's body closely. Sarah was delighted that she had found something so remarkable, but she was also worried about the snail's health. The vet reassured her that the snail appeared to be healthy and that she had done the right thing by bringing it in for a checkup. He explained that he would need to run some tests to make sure that the snail was not carrying any diseases or parasites. Sarah felt a twinge of concern but was relieved that the snail was in good hands. As the vet continued his examination, he noticed something that made his jaw drop. The snail was much older than he had initially thought. He estimated that it was likely several decades old, which was a rare and remarkable feat for any snail. Sarah was over the moon with excitement as she listened to the vet's diagnosis. Her discovery was not only an incredible rarity but also an ancient being that had somehow survived in her garden undetected for so long. She couldn't wait to find out more about this amazing creature. As the vet continued to examine the snail, he ran several tests to ensure its health and well-being. He wanted to make sure that the creature was not carrying any diseases or parasites that could affect its life or the life of other animals in the garden. The vet was amazed at the snail's size and weight. He measured its shell and body several times, and each time the numbers were staggering. He had never seen a snail of this magnitude before. As he examined the creature, he noticed something unusual. The snail's shell was not just large, but it was also incredibly intricate and beautifully patterned. The vet was intrigued by this and decided to take a closer look. He discovered that the snail was a rare species that had been thought to be extinct. He couldn't believe his eyes. He had found something incredible. He examined the snail's shell under a microscope and found that it was composed of several layers that had been built up over time. Each layer had a unique pattern, and as the vet studied the patterns, he realized that they were telling a story, the story of the snail's life. He discovered that the snail was at least a century old and had lived an incredible life. Its shell was a record of its journey through time, and the patterns on the shell represented different milestones in its life. The vet was amazed and couldn't wait to share his discovery with the world. As he finished his diagnosis, the vet knew that he had to take care of the snail and make sure that it was safe. He explained to Sarah that the snail was a rare species and needed to be protected. He also suggested that the snail be returned to its natural habitat so that it could live out the rest of its life in peace. Sarah agreed, and the vet made arrangements to release the snail back into the wild. The vet was thrilled to have made such a remarkable discovery, and Sarah felt grateful to have played a small part in it. The snail was a testament to the beauty and complexity of the natural world, and they both knew that this was something special. The news of Sarah's incredible discovery spread quickly, and soon scientists and researchers from all over the world were clamoring to investigate the snail. The vet and Sarah were inundated with phone calls and emails, all asking to be a part of this groundbreaking discovery. The vet was thrilled that the snail was getting so much attention, but he was also concerned. He didn't want the snail to be exploited or harmed in any way. He knew that he had to be careful about who he allowed to examine the creature. After much deliberation, the vet and Sarah decided to allow a team of researchers from a renowned scientific institution to investigate the snail. They were impressed with the team's credentials and felt confident that they would treat the snail with the utmost care and respect. The investigation was a massive undertaking. The researchers had to collect samples from the snail's body and shell, and they also had to study its behavior and movements. They were amazed by what they found. The snail was a remarkable creature with a unique genetic makeup that made it incredibly resilient. It had adapted to its environment in ways that the researchers had never seen before. They discovered that the snail's body was capable of producing a natural substance that had antibacterial properties. This substance could potentially be used to treat a range of illnesses in humans. The investigation took several months, but finally the researchers had gathered all the data they needed. They presented their findings at a scientific conference, and the response was overwhelming. The discovery of the snail had the potential to revolutionize the way we thought about medicine and the natural world. At the end of the conference, the researchers announced that they would be establishing a conservation program to protect the snail's habitat and ensure that it continued to thrive. The vet and Sarah were thrilled to hear this news and knew that they had played a small part in something truly remarkable. After the incredible discovery of the century-old snail and the groundbreaking investigation, it was time for a celebration. Sarah and the vet had achieved something incredible, and it was time to commemorate their success. They decided to organize a garden party in honor of the snail, inviting all the people who had been a part of the journey. The party was held in the garden where Sarah had first discovered the snail, and it was a beautiful day. The guests arrived, dressed in their finest clothes, and were amazed by the beauty of the garden. The tables were set with fresh flowers, and the food was a tribute to the natural world with fruits and vegetables from the garden. As the guests mingled and chatted, the vet and Sarah gave speeches thanking everyone who had been a part of the journey. They talked about the incredible discovery and the groundbreaking investigation, and how they had all worked together to protect and celebrate the beauty of the natural world. After the speeches, the guests were treated to a surprise. The vet and Sarah had organized a guided tour of the garden where they showed off the various plants and animals that called it home. They pointed out the different species of birds and insects and talked about how each one played a vital role in the ecosystem. As the tour came to an end, the guests were surprised once again. The vet and Sarah had arranged for a special performance, a dance inspired by the movements of the snail. The dancers moved slowly and gracefully, mimicking the snail's movements, and the guests were mesmerized. The celebration was a huge success, and the guests left feeling inspired and grateful. They had all been a part of something incredible, and they knew that they had made a difference. As Sarah and the vet walked back to the snail's garden, they couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. They had achieved something truly remarkable, and they knew that the snail would continue to thrive, protected by their efforts and the efforts of those who came after them. Months had passed since the garden party, and Sarah had settled back into her routine, tending to her garden and caring for her animals. But one day, as she was watering the plants, she noticed something strange. There on the stem of one of her flowers was a tiny snail, just like the one she had found months before. Sarah was surprised and delighted. She knew that the snail was a sign that her garden was thriving and that she had made a difference. She carefully picked up the snail and examined it, marveling at its beauty and resilience. As she held the snail, she thought about the incredible journey that had led her here. She had discovered the snail, watched it go through a series of investigations, and celebrated its beauty and resilience with friends and family, and now she had a new snail, a reminder of all that she had accomplished. Sarah knew that her work wasn't done. She still had to tend to her garden, protect the creatures that called it home, and continue to care for the environment, but she also knew that she had made a difference, that her actions had helped to preserve and celebrate the natural world. As she released the snail back into the garden, Sarah felt a sense of peace and contentment. She knew that she had found her purpose, that she had discovered something that was worth fighting for. And as she watched the snail slowly make its way across the flower, she couldn't help but smile. She had found her happy ending, and she knew that it was just the beginning of something truly remarkable. What did you think of this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, like the video and subscribe. See you next time.